go. So so welcome. This is the very first of our Teacher Encounters webinars. So Luke's up first, which is fantastic. No pressure at all there, Luke.
No.
And so the reason behind these Teacher Encounters and the project that we're running is that we know, and evidence shows, that teachers are key, and any education staff actually are key influencers on young people when it comes to them making their decisions about their futures. And so that's where the Teacher Encounters project was born, really. It's a national initiative, but we've been really lucky to gain some funding to run this down within the County of Essex area. And it's been developed to help support education staff to feel more confident, more informed when discussing those future choices and the local labour market. And we have a series of organisations that will be taking part in these webinars, and also later on in the year be offering one-day workplace visits as well. So they take place between now and the end of July, so plenty of opportunities to get involved. And the details of all the different opportunities are on our website, and also our Eventbrite page that you would have booked through in the first place. During the session, there will be plenty of opportunities for discussion, for questions. So feel free to any point to pop your hand up or to put anything in the chat as we're going through. If you've got any questions as we're going, then do put that in. We do want this to be as an interactive session as is possible, really. So very much encourage you guys to all get involved. I am extremely pleased to welcome Luke Culling, who is the social values officer, or one of the social values officers at Morgan Sindall Property Services, along with his colleagues Matthew and Charlie as well. Luke, I'm not going to steal any of your thunder by doing some big handover to you, because I know you're going to go through some of that anyway. So I'll hand over to you and let me know when you want any of those poll questions popped up.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Hyla. Thanks very much for for setting this up. So yeah, afternoon everyone. Thanks for coming along today. Fingers crossed. Today will give you a little bit of a flavour for who we are as an organisation and what we do, and also give you a bit of an opportunity to see if it's something that you want to come along to on the taster days that Hyla just mentioned, to come along and actually experience a day with us down at our office in Billericay, down opposite Barleylands, and then potentially out with some of our guys and girls that are out on the tools in the local area as well. So I'm going to get cracking, and again, forgive me if the technology doesn't work, but I'm going to just start you all off with a little introduction of a video from our MD, and I'm hoping this is going to work. So bear with me with this one. Can you all see that? Hyla, all I can see is you. Can you nod if you can see the black screen?
I can see a black screen at the minute.
Right.
Yep.
Fingers crossed this plays and you can hear it. If you can't hear it, just let me know.
Okay.
Can't hear it, Luke.
Nah, I knew that was going to be the case. Right. Let's go again.
No.
Can you not hear it?
No.
No.
Why is it not letting me?
When you press share, have you ticked over the little bit? So when you share your screen, up the top where it says share content, it says include computer sound. Try that.
Now we should be good. Apologies.
Hello and welcome to Morgan Sindall Property Services. I'm Alan Haywood, Managing Director, and I am delighted you have chosen a career with us. You have joined a growing company which is so much more than delivering repairs and maintenance. We focus on doing business responsibly and safely and having a positive impact on our communities. Data is at the heart of all we do, helping us to better understand our customers and their living conditions, and also enabling us to provide actionable insights for our clients that will address customer and community needs. By putting the customer first, doing the right thing and being passionate about what we do means we are a trusted partner to our clients. Morgan Sindall Property Services is also an exciting place to work, a place where I hope you can fulfil your potential, continually learn and be part of an inclusive, innovative culture, which also encourages diversity and embraces difference. Again, welcome to the business, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
We got there. Finally, we got there. So apologies for the technical issues. So yeah, that's just an introduction from our managing director, Alan Hayward. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of who we are as an organisation. Now, before we go any further, I'm hoping this is going to start sharing, and you can see that. Hyla, thumbs up. So Hyla, if you want to drop that first poll into the thing, if that's possible, please, just to see where we're at with regards to knowledge of us as an organisation and whether anyone's heard of us before.
It'd be really funny on that one if I said no, wouldn't it?
There's obviously a couple of people in the room that will know who we are, I'm hoping. But yeah, fingers crossed. Has that poll come live and has everyone managed to vote now, Hyla?
Yep, everyone's voted.
Okay.
How do I show the results? Can you see them on your screen?
I can't.
No, I can't. I can't see where do I vote? Don't see. Oh, hang on. No.
On response details. Oh well, everyone said
it's over
yes.
on the right hand side.
Okay.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So everybody said yes.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's a good start. So fingers crossed. The next sort of half an hour to 45 minutes, we won't be telling you stuff that you already know, but it'll give you a bit of an insight. Fingers crossed into the organisation and who we are and what we do. So we'll move on. Fingers crossed. This is going to start moving with me. If it doesn't move across, please let me know. Has that moved over?
Yep.
Perfect. So who are we? So Morgan Sindall Property Services provide integrated asset management for housing associations and local authorities. And one of your most local contracts and one of our largest contracts that we have is with Basildon Borough Council. We also have contracts in a number of different areas, which we'll come on to later on. What we do is focus on improving the living conditions of residents and leaving a lasting legacy in the communities that we serve. And Alan mentioned in the video that you saw a few minutes ago around the use of data. Data is something that we use in all different aspects of the business and drives the decision making and the insights and the work that we do for both of our customers and also our customers and their clients as well. So one of the big things, and another thing that is really apparent when working for Morgan Sindall, is that we try to put people first in the organisation. That's not just the people that work for Morgan Sindall Property Services, but it's our customers and their clients, and both that works across all aspects of the business. So it's all about people. And when people talk about what we do, they tend to focus and concentrate on the repairs and maintenance side of things. But one of the key themes I feel that runs through the organisation, and one of the most important things that we can do and provide as a business, is really positive customer service and a really positive customer experience. If the customer experience is positive, then the repairs and maintenance will follow that trend, and we'll be providing our customers and our clients with the services that we sign up and we agree at the beginning of our contracts. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. And if there are any questions about what any of that means, we've got, as I mentioned before, Matt Fulger and Charlie Brain from an operational side on the call. So if you've got any questions about anything as we go through, please don't be afraid to pop your hand up. I can't see it, but Hyla's going to be my eyes and ears. And if you've got any questions that you don't want to ask, please do feel free to put them in the chat and we'll cut in while I'm going through the presentation as we go through. And I'm hoping that this is going to move the slide across now. So a little bit of a snapshot of Morgan Sindall Property Services. So we've got over 900 employees working for us across 30 contracts, and we've got 5 hubs spread across different parts of the UK, but predominantly the majority of our work is in the south, in and around London and across sort of the Essex and Kent areas. Approximately, excuse me, approximately 500,000 repairs is what we carry out per year. We have got an order book which sits at around 1.2 billion, and we're also looking at around 40% growth over the next 4 years. So we're an organisation who have got quite a substantial amount of work at the moment, and also looking, at what that looks like over the next few years. And the difference, I think, and when young people talk about, oh, I want to work in construction, I want to work in construction, I want to do a trade, they automatically think about traditional construction, so building and house building and property building and stuff like that, and don't necessarily think about the property maintenance and the repairs and maintenance side of construction. And that's kind of why we wanted to get involved in this, because whilst we're in the construction industry and we sit within that kind of realm, if you like, we don't build new properties. We are there to repair and maintain the properties for our clients and their customers. But that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of us as Morgan Sindall Property Services. Has that moved on now? It has on mine, so I'm hoping it has on yours. So Morgan Sindall Property Services, we are part of Morgan Sindall Group, and we're one of 8 businesses that make up the group. We've got approximately 6,600 employees across the entire group. And this slide, I'm not going to go through it chapter and verse, gives you a little bit of an overview of the different businesses and different organisations that sit underneath that Morgan Sindall Group banner. And as you can see, bottom left, the most important one, Morgan Sindall Property Services. Some of you may well have come across construction, infrastructure, and the different organisations that sit within the group. But today, and the session and the teacher encounters that we're offering is specifically with us here at Morgan Sindall Property Services. Has anyone got any questions at this point, Hyla, or is there any hands up or anything like that?
There aren't any hands up.
Okay.
I've got a question though.
Yep.
The 40% growth over 4 years is massive. Like
Yeah.
that is a big growth. Is that just in your property services area?
Do you want me
Matt?
to answer that? Look,
Yeah,
I knew you
Matt,
were going
yeah.
to come to me on that. I knew I was here for a reason. Yeah, that's our part of the business. So 40% growth. And you say that's a lot. It doesn't take much for us to grow by 40% in terms of this. So we run currently big contracts like Basden Council, Westminster Council, Hammersmith and Fulham. Another big London contract, or L&Q, which is a big housing association, something like that would be a big growth in that area.
Right.
So 40% sounds a lot, but it could just be maybe 2 or 3 contracts, and that, because they're so big, that it would amount to that. So we're targeting bigger things now. When we first started, when I was here 7 years ago, when I first started this contract, we weren't very big in the south. We were bigger in the north. Now we've moved south, and we've become very well known for how we provide the service and how good we are at providing the service. We're winning more contracts, so we're being a bit more choosy now as well.
What a lovely position to get to, where you where you can pick the right contracts for you as well.
It's the client. It has to be good client to contractor ratio.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just no point.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Matt. So this slide tells you a little bit more about us and what our vision and our behaviours are. And if the one thing I said during earlier on in one of the slides is all about being customer led and putting the customer first. When I go out and I speak to students in schools, and Jean, I'm sure you can kind of confirm this when I've done some stuff with you down in Southend. One of the most important things for every single role within our organisation is all about our customer, making sure that what we do is right for the customer, because we are a customer-led organisation. Our clients have their customers, and we serve their customers through the repairs and maintenance that we do. So making sure we put the customers first is really important. And whilst people need to have the right qualifications to do certain roles within our organisation, customer service is so important. Whether you are one of our customer service advisors, whenever you are one of our operatives that are out in the field, it really doesn't matter what role you are in. You're potentially engaging with customers in the different roles that we do. So customer service is really important. So the other things that we look to try to do, and some of the behaviours that we try to do,
that work is still on the internet.
That's all right.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff we try to do is some of the other things that we look to try to do is we try to do the right thing. We've got a lot of passionate people that work for our organisation, and as Matt just mentioned there, we're trying to grow organically, and we're trying to make the right decisions as an organisation as to where we go next and what contracts that we do take on. And one of the big areas and one of the big growing things that's coming through, specifically in construction at the moment, is all around being sustainable and what we're doing to be sustainable. And that's something that is at the forefront of what we do with our retrofit programs and all of the work that we do for our procurement processes as well with our supply chain and our subcontractors. So that gives you a little bit of a feel for sort of our vision and our behaviours as a business as well. Let me go on to the next slide. So what we do, and this is where I'm hoping, Charlie, Matt, you'll be able to come in and give a bit more of an insight into this. But these are just some of the things we do within the organisation around reactive repairs, planned works, refurbishment and regeneration. We do a lot of compliance work around gas, electrical, and also building safety, and your general preventative maintenance as well. So Matt or Charlie, did you want to kind of chip in with and give a little bit more insight and information into those different areas?
Yeah, so where Luke was talking about data and data being all a part of it. So I run the day-to-day repairs teams, okay, and we've got a different division that runs the plan works. But if we're repairing roofs in a certain area, we've got a data analyst that sits here. So everyone thinks, oh, you've got to be a plumber, a carpenter, or whatever to be in this industry. We've actually got a data analyst that sits in my office that literally runs reports. And if we're doing too many repairs in an area, then he'll do a proposal to move it to plan works, and we'll just go and re-roof all of that estate. So we've done external wall installations on every archetype now in Basildon to give it better insulation. And that's all come from data that's come from the business. So my thing is being really reactive. Every day is different. I'm doing things all the time, different things. The plan works are a bit more planned, for the want of a better word, where they will have the whole year for 2023-24 already set out, and then we can drop ad hoc schemes into that. And then the compliance and electricity. So councils and landlords have a responsibility to look after the property. They have to do an annual gas safety check. We've got a gas team that does that. They also deal with all the breakdowns, new boiler installations, and every property has to have a five-year cyclical electrical program. So we've got electricians that do all of that, do all the testing. So we're as much trying to be on the front foot to reduce my job, which is day-to-day repairs, as it is being on the back foot and us every tenant phoning in and calling in. And that data sits in the middle. And without a data analyst, I haven't got time to do it. So there's computer programmers that we have. We've got IT people. Construction isn't just go out and fix a door or a light switch. And I think people misconstrue that. So this is sort of highlighting that, we do much more than what is just on the tin.
Yeah, and I suppose from our perspective as well, sort of managing the customer service team, particularly with Basildon, my team is very much on the front line. So the residents call my team first to report a repair. That is kind of the start of the journey of that repair. So as Matt alluded to a moment ago with the information that we provide to our data analyst, that journey kind of starts with my team. So as long as we get all the right information from the resident on that initial call, we can then give our data analyst the opportunity and the tools and the information to really do a deep dive into what sort of repairs we're carrying out in the borough. Maybe we can sort of put it all together in one patch in one area, and as we say, dish it over to our plan works team for them to do it as part of a project. So like I say, from a customer service point of view, the journey of a repair really does start with my team. So they're probably one of the most, that process there is probably one of the most vital, cogs in that whole operation in terms of seeing a repair through to completion, whether that be fixing a door handle, as Matt says, or, carrying out temporary repairs before it reaches the projects team for a whole new roof. So it's very much a journey with everything we do from a customer service point of view.
Yeah. Thanks, Charlie. Matt, appreciate that. Anyone got any questions? Hyla, has anyone got any hands up at the moment?
There aren't any hands up and there's nothing in the chat, but if anyone does have any questions, then do shout.
Yeah, totally agree. So just a little bit of an insight into sort of, Matt mentioned earlier on, initially we were quite strong in the north of the country. We've got a number of different contracts, and as Matt mentioned about Westminster and Hammersmith and Fulham, we've got a number of contracts in the south. The ones that specifically sort of logistically sit close to the majority of the people that will be on the call is our contract with Basildon Council. We have got a contract with South Essex Homes down in Southend as well. Moving sort of London way, we've got a contract with East End Homes in the East End of London. We've also got a contract with Moat, which covers Kent, parts of Essex and parts of South London. And then moving into London, you've got Westminster, Hammersmith and Fulham, and things like Waltham Forest Council as well. So there's some of the areas that we cover. And as I mentioned earlier on, we've got a number of different hubs, and those hubs run those contracts from those areas. And as I mentioned before, Basildon is your local one and one of our biggest and longest contracts that we've had so far. So Hyla, if it's possible, before we go on to the next slide, would it be possible to get that next poll up for me, if that's all right, as we move into careers?
I will try the one about the different types of roles.
Yeah, please.
Yes. There you go. So it should come up on your screens. You can tick as many of these as you want as well. It's multiple. It's as many as you want on here.
I can't seem to see the poll.
Let me see
It
if I
might
can.
be on the chat. You can
Yeah, if you go
access
to the
it.
chat, it will appear up in there as well
Oh,
for you to click on.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
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 That's where people, you'll be able to see the results in that chat as well. Luke, I'm not sure if you can see the chat or not if you're sharing your screen. No. I'll
I
have
can.
to
I
relay
can. It's all
them
right.
to you.
No, it's all right. I can. It's all right.
Yeah, no, I can't see the chat, I'm afraid. Sorry.
I think most people have put their answers in.
Okay.
There's nobody's said yes to all of them, but there's a mixture of them all. So probably the lowest one's bid writer.
Okay.
And the higher ones are electrical engineer, gas engineer, customer service. So that's good. We were paying attention, and data analyst. So we've been paying attention. So at least
Good.
that's good.
Good. So yeah, just to kind of give you a bit of an insight, and the reason we asked that poll is because I think Matt mentioned it earlier on. We're more than just going out and doing repairs. We're more than just an operative or a tradesperson going out and knocking on a door and completing a repair. And as Charlie mentioned, from the very first starting point, from that call coming in with regards to that repair, we take that individual, that that person, that family, and that property on a journey. And that's kind of why I wanted to post that question about the different careers within our business and in our sector, because all of those roles that you saw on that poll are all different roles that you would see at Morgan Sindall Property Services. So Hailey, you mentioned that as a bid writer that you might not think that is somebody that we have within the organisation. A lot of what we do and a lot of the contracts that we are successful in securing come through a tendering and a bid writing process. So we do have bid writers in our organisation, and hopefully you can see from this screen now all of the different roles that sit within the property services kind of industry, and specifically with us. So our trades roles, and it mentioned on there about gas engineer and electrical engineer and a plumber and a multi-trade operative. There are a range of different trade roles that sit within Morgan Sindall Property Services, and they're just some of them. We offer apprenticeships from level 2 right the way up to level 7. We have commercial teams. We have a commercial team based out of our office in Billericay or Barleylands, where we are, our local offices to you. We have marketing and bids teams. Our marketing teams operate out of an office that we have in London Wall. And our HR teams are kind of spread in different parts of the country to support the different contracts that we've got. So we have a HR advisor that covers the south, somebody that covers the north, but our main HR function sits within our office that's based up north in Sheffield. We have procurement, kind of goes without saying, and fleet. And I think this is one of the things that people maybe forget about when you think about what we do. You all mentioned, and the question that we first asked was, do you know and have you heard of Morgan Sindall Property Services? And it's quite surprising to the different places I go where people say no. Fleet are really important for us to be able to do the work that we do. You can see from this slide, one of our vans that is sign written. And I always say to people that have not heard of us or not seen us before, the next time I see you or the next time I speak to you, if you live in Basildon or in one of the areas in which we've got a contract, I promise you between now and the next time I see you, you will have seen one of our vans. And 9 times out of 10, that is the case. But somebody that looks after all of our fleet and manages that process, and we're in a transition period now where we're moving our vehicles from diesel vans over to electric vans. So hopefully you might see some of our electric vans in and around the different parts and across Basildon and Southend. Matt mentioned about IT and data being really important. Matt and Charlie both mentioned about projects that will happen through our planned work. So project management is a big thing. Charlie, customer service, as you spoke about earlier on, again, really important. So there are some roles in there that people don't necessarily think about. When people talk about property maintenance or they talk about construction, they think about traditional trades. But the way that I view it, and I hope I'm not alone when I say this, is that if you work in our organisation, regardless to what you do, if you are in our HR, our marketing, our commercial, our customer service teams, the way that I view it is that you operate in the construction industry or you work in the property maintenance industry, regardless to whether you are an engineer or whether you are someone that works in our customer service team. You still work within that industry. And that's kind of the message I try to deliver to students and people when I do meet them as different sessions that we do for our social value programs, is that we're a lot more than just our tradespeople. And you know, hopefully this has kind of opened your minds up to the different roles and different opportunities there are in our industry. So quickly before we move on, Hyla, can you just drop the next poll in, if that's all right, around the apprenticeship entry requirements, if that's okay?
There you go. Should be either on screens or in chat for you.
Thank you. Have we got answers from everybody?
Yeah, well, for most people, they're still coming in a little bit, but there's it keeps flicking between 3 GCSEs and no formal qualifications. So you keep flicking between the two.
Good. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit more about sort of different routes and ways of coming into our industry and working for us as an organisation. And one of the things I want to talk to you about is apprenticeships. So I think there's a big misconception around apprenticeships, especially in construction and in what we do, and what the entry requirements might be. So for a level 2 apprenticeship, there aren't any actual formal requirements to sign up to a level 2 apprenticeship, and I think that's where people get a little bit confused. I need to have this, I must have that. Granted, with a lot of the apprenticeships that we do, we have a number of apprentices that work on our contracts that work on level 3 apprenticeships, which means that they do need to have a certain level of maths or English to be able to achieve that apprenticeship. But specifically for the level 2 apprenticeship programs that we offer, you don't need those formal qualifications, because part of that apprenticeship program means that you will gain functional skills in maths and English built into that apprenticeship program. And there are a number of different routes to come and work for us at Morgan Sindall. One of those routes is our Work to Learn program, which will then enable those successful candidates to kind of move through into our apprenticeship program. But those Work to Learn programs are based in the areas where we operate. So using Basildon as an example, we run a program called BasWorks. We've actually got a BasWorks that's starting next week on Monday, specifically looking in the local area for local unemployed people that are interested in kind of the admin and the customer service side of things. Previously, and this is historically, BasWorks has had a real focus on more traditional trade roles around sort of painting and decorating, electrical apprentices, plumbing apprentices, and we've kind of made a little bit of a shift for the needs of the business to look at how we can try and find some people to come and support the office function, you know, with Charlie and his team based out of Billericay. The other way that you can come and apply to come and work for us is directly through our apprenticeship program. We have apprenticeships available throughout the year, again, in various different roles and various different positions in the company. So whether that is an administrator, somebody in customer service, whether that's somebody that sits within our trade team, so maybe an apprentice electrician and a multi-trade apprentice. There are a number of different ways for you to come in, but also when working for Morgan Sindall Property Services, you also have the opportunity as an employee to enrol on apprenticeship programs yourself. So, you know, a little bit of support for our current staff and upskilling them as well. And direct applications. And I think maybe Matt and Charlie, certainly from a more experienced side of things, trade-wise, you know, we need people that are qualified. We need people that are certified to come and do the work that we're ultimately carrying out for our clients and their customers. But Matt, Charlie, what are the sort of things that you look for when you are recruiting into those more experienced roles?
But it is experience. The part of the biggest problem when we're recruiting for trades is that any trade can come in and say they can do the job. Yeah, it's the first day we find out if they can hang a door or they can plaster a wall. So a lot of it for me is, do they fit into the team? Because if they're going to come in and disrupt the rest of my team, I don't want them. If they're going to come in and support the other team, and my guys will support them and train them in what to do, that's what matters. Age doesn't matter, experience doesn't matter. It is more for me about, will that person come in and disrupt my team? So I run a team of about 45 engineers. I have 3 supervisors that help me run that team. It doesn't take much to go in there and disrupt it. So it's personality, it's the way they talk. Everyone can do the job. If they've been trained correctly, they can do the job.
Perfect. Charlie, what about you from your side?
I think for me personally, it's all about, you know, customer service is quite a broad, you know, it's quite a broad, you know, industry, I suppose. But we get, you know, a lot of people come in who have got transferable skills, so they may have customer service experience on a face-to-face basis, but that can be transferred to what we do. Sometimes it's a bit easier to be, you know, a customer service advisor over the phone as opposed to face-to-face. But as long as they've got, as long as, you know, the candidate's got, you know, are willing to learn and use those transferable skills and pick up on our processes and open themselves up to understanding what we do, then I'll you know, I'll be on board with that. I've had people come in who have got 15 years experience in the industry but haven't quite understood what we want to do and it hasn't worked out. I've got people on the team who have come from retail backgrounds, you know, catering backgrounds, that sort of thing, and they've come in and really done well. So it really does depend on the individual, but a lot of what we do, you know, there's transferable skills from other industries, and like I say, having that willing to use your own initiative, think outside the box, think on your feet, but at the same time understand that we're in a position where we can turn negative situations into positive ones. You know, people only call us because they've got a problem, and we've got the tools at our disposal, sorry, to flip that difficult situation into a positive one. So as long as people have got that kind of approach to every situation we come across, I think it's really in the individual's hands to go as far as they want to, really.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Luke,
So,
before you move on,
Yep.
Jean's popped a note into the thing saying, is there a minimum age for apprenticeships?
16 is a minimum age for our apprenticeships. So we need to obviously, Jean, be mindful with regards to our certain apprenticeship roles that we have, with regards to our sort of the trade side of things, but as a minimum 16. But we just need to be a little bit more mindful with specifically with our trade apprentices of what age we take there, because of the nature of the work that we do, the vulnerable people that we potentially are seeing, and our operatives are going out and visiting in their properties. But yeah, 16 plus is where our apprenticeship program starts.
In terms of the engineer wise, we start looking around 18.
Yeah.
Only because if they're on a 3-year course and then they qualify and we take them on full time, they've got to be 21 to drive one of our vans.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing 16 because at 19 I can't put them out.
Yeah.
Because our insurance says you've got to be minimum 21. So we look at engineer wise 18 plus.
Yeah. Perfect.
Luke, can I ask you a question on the back of that?
Yep.
I hear that from a lot of organisations that are within the construction sector, and I realise that's a really wide sector. That usually what they're looking for is 18. granted, there are lots of different facets to it. So in customer service, data, IT, that sort of thing, perhaps 16. But if you're going out on the tool, so to speak, then you're looking at 18. Are there any particular, so if you think of a young person's going to potentially maybe finish school or finish school maybe at 16,
Yeah.
that 16 to 18, what sort of things would you like to see that they've been doing to raise them up the profile, so when they're 18 and they apply, you go, yes, this is the person that we want in our team for an apprenticeship? What sort of things would you like to see?
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I mean, I've encountered a number of different 16-year-olds who are at totally different stages, even at the same age as 16. And I think that one of the things that I've worked in apprenticeships before I came into Morgan Sindall, and one of the things I will say is a lot of it is around going out and finding an opportunity to learn yourself. So being proactive, going out and doing some work experience, getting yourself out there and getting yourself some exposure where you can potentially look at doing some stuff with maybe a friend, a family member, somebody that works in a particular industry, maybe works in sort of more domestic than traditionally in what we do with around, you know, the maintenance side of things for housing associations and councils. But for me, as Charlie mentioned, and probably Matt, I think you'll probably agree, even when they get to that age of 18, it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do about maturity, I think. And I keep kind of going back to it. It's about being able to talk to people, about being able to communicate, and customer service is really important. Whether you are an electrical apprentice or whether you are in Charlie's team and you're a customer service apprentice, during your role as an apprentice with us, you're going to have to be able to communicate with people. That's really important. But looking at the type of course that maybe a young person has chosen to do post 16, so if they've maybe chosen to go and look at doing maybe a level 1 in plumbing or a level 1 in carpentry, a level 1 in electrical, to give them that foundation, because then when they do and they are at the right age to come and be considered for our trade apprenticeships, they've already got that foundation there. I think that's really important. That for me is what I would say to any young person.
Yeah, and for me, it's just showing some continuity, to be honest with you. So one of the first things I say to apprentices is it's not just about coming into work, because you'll get day released to the college. If you don't turn up to that college, you haven't turned up to work. And they've got to show some sort of maturity that they're going to do that. Turn up on time, commit themselves to it, you know, do the coursework. We've got resources behind the scenes to help them with that. So we've just had one electrical apprentice pass through his apprenticeship, and we've offered him a full-time job. We've got 2 in their final year doing it. My 2 electrical QSs sit with them and test them all the time. Yeah, so, and it's, you know, one was a bit wavery to start with. Luke will agree with me about turning up to college. We brought him in, sat him down. Look, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if you're going to do it, college is more important than coming to work. Because if you don't get the course, you can't get the qualification. And it's them showing that maturity and that commitment to do both. Yes, they learn more. It's a bit like learning to drive your car. Yeah. You go out with your mum and dad, you'll learn all the things the wrong way, but it will be the easy way. You go out with the driving instructor, he'll teach you how to get through that exam. Once you've passed, you can do all the shortcuts, but it's them understanding that they've got to put in that commitment in that early stage, and it is hard.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other things, Hyla, as well, is that I think a lot of young people get confused with when they can do an apprenticeship. And I know we've mentioned about, you know, specifically on our trades that you've got to be 18 plus. But I think there's a misconception with young people that they think they've got to go to college before they do an apprenticeship. I've had that so many times in so many different industries, and I've heard it from young people. And that, for me, fundamentally, is somewhere along the line they've been given the wrong information. They don't need to have gone to college to get an apprenticeship. What Matt has just said there about continuity and everything like that, it's so important that they see the opportunity as an opportunity for long term, and a lot of it is more around, or some of it is around, you know, short term pain for long term gain financially, because you're not paid a great deal as an apprentice wherever you go and whatever you do. But once you're qualified, that's when you really start to see the benefits of the qualifications you've got. Hyla, I know it's a bit early, but can we have the next poll, please, if that's all right?
Definitely. There you go, should be up.
I would really get in trouble if I do this one wrong, wouldn't I? This is my bread and butter.
You'll be
So
pleased to know
hopefully-
that I can't see who's answered what, so I
Oh, that's
can't
a real
report back on you.
That's a real shame. It's disappointing that you can't see who said what. Have we got all? Go on.
We've got an relatively even split between 12,750, 1,500, 15,000, and one's just gone in there for 23,000 as well. So,
Okay. All right, good, perfect, thank you. So we're going to move on from this slide now. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea and a bit of an insight into the different routes and ways that you can kind of work in our industry and the different opportunities that sort of are available to work in sort of property services. I wanted to give you a little bit of an oversight and an insight into the different people that kind of in our organisation across the board. And I think one of the reasons and one of the main reasons I've done this is because whilst we operate in construction, we're not traditional construction, as some people would say. We are property services, we are property maintenance. But one of the key things that I will say is that whenever you speak to young people about construction, there is the stigma that construction is a male-dominated industry. Granted, this slide, the first slide that you see, is probably not the best representation of that. However, the reason I'm showing you these slides is to show that, you know, in a number of senior positions within our organisation, we have got a lot of females that work at Morgan Sindall Property Services, not just in those back office roles, but also, you know, out in the field, whether they are RLOs, whether they are our operatives, and whether they are our engineers. We do have females working in our industry. So I wanted to kind of share this with you just to show you that we do have female representation within our industry, within our sector. And this final slide will probably give you a little bit more of a kind of an even view of that. So you can see from this slide, our head of estimating, our head of transformation, our head of CSR, our head of communications, our head of business development, our head of HR, and our head of financial and planning analysis are all females. And as I mentioned earlier on previously about it being, you know, somewhere that is male dominated, you can see from this slide that that's not the case with what we do and who we are. There are opportunities to work in our sector. If you don't want to be on the tools, you don't have to be on the tools. There are a number of different roles within our organisation that you can do. But for me, if you work in one of these roles, for us as an organisation, you operate in the property maintenance / construction industry. So you are ultimately a female working in construction. And I have this all the time when we run programs and people say, oh, you know, we need to encourage young girls and we need to encourage females in construction, etc., etc. One thing I won't do and one thing you can't do is drag people kicking and screaming into an industry that don't want to be there. You see loads of different projects and programs and things running to encourage women into construction, but you can't force them to do it. All you can do is give them the exposure and the understanding of what the industry is like on a whole, give them a little flavour and a little taste of what that looks like, and then you can, you know, then you can make your own decision based on the knowledge and understanding that you've got of the whole picture, rather than just, why don't you go and work in construction? Oh, I don't want to do that because I want to get my hands dirty. So I wanted to kind of give you that flavour to show you that, you know, we do have a real mix of people in our organisation, both male and female, in both front-facing, customer-facing roles, but also, you know, in our senior team as well. Hopefully that last slide has done that. Maybe I should have just left the first two slides off and it wouldn't have had that effect, but there you go. So yes, that kind of gives you a little bit of flavour. So the poll that was just put up, here's your answer. So currently approximately 15,500 properties that we service on the contract with Basildon Council. So remember when I showed you the slide before, Basildon is one of a number of contracts. So that's just one of our contracts, and that's 15,500 properties, both domestic and commercial, that we provide repairs and maintenance on. Our contract with Basildon Council kicked off in June 2016 and is a 15-year contract, so is due to complete in 2031. We currently have 116 people employed to work solely on the Basildon contract. So lots of local jobs for lots of local people. and a high percentage of our supply chain and our subcontractors are Basildon-based organisations. And as you can see there, 98% of our materials are supplied locally. The contract itself covers Basildon, Billericay and Wickford. And as Matt mentioned earlier on, and we talked about on a previous slide, you've got repairs and maintenance, gas, electrical, voids, planned works and corporate property that sit within that particular banner. So I'm going to ask a question. I didn't put it down as a poll. I apologise, Hyla. Can anyone tell me what a void is? Has anyone got any idea? Matt, Charlie, please stay quiet for this one. But can anyone tell me, or has anyone got any idea what a void might be? Let's see if we get anything in the chat, Hyla.
I'm more intrigued on what your description is going to be, Luke.
I'm not describing it, Matt. You are.
Oh, Jean's giving it a go by the looks of things.
Go on,
Oh
Jean.
no, the pressure, Jean. Now the pressure. Trevor,
No,
Dave,
I was just apologising, so I was called away for a few minutes, so I missed all that. Sorry.
Jean, we're just trying to figure out what a void is, but I think I know, but I won't say it because.
Okay.
Have we got any other guesses?
Dave, Trevor, Laura, anyone, any guesses?
I might give you a clue. So a void would be a property. So it might be a house, a flat, a bungalow, an apartment. But what the void is the word that I'm looking for to see if you can work out what the void might
Would
be.
that be someone that's like run off, basically done a runner from the property and left it in a state, something like that?
Doesn't have to. Yes and no.
Potentially.
So we do have those. We do
Sounds
have
like
those.
you're warm. Sounds like you're warm, but
Don't necessarily have to run off.
No, Matt, would you like to describe what a void is?
Yeah. So a void is when a tenant decides to give back the keys. Might be moving up in property because they've got more children, so they're entitled to a bigger property. It might be that the children have left and they want to downsize. It might be that they've moving out of area. So we have a period of time where it's 10 days actually, where tenant hands the keys back and we've got to clear the property, get it into a good state, get it back to what we call it void standard, which means no repairs are required, decorated, etc. New bathroom, new kitchen if it needs it, new roof if it needs it, all in 10 days and then back out again. Then Basildon Council put it back up on their website for the next person to make a bid on to rent the property.
There, in a nutshell, that is what a void is. And I couldn't have described it better myself, Matt. I appreciate that. Thanks, mate.
You're doing the next one.
So yeah, what I wanted to give you this overview so you can see the volume of work that comes with what we do specifically for Basildon and on the contract we have there. And as I mentioned before, this is one of a number of contracts that we've got, and all of the different schemes of Matt talked about planned works and reactive repairs and gas and electrical and voids that that's part and parcel of the contract that we have. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of the scale and the size of the operation that Matt, Charlie and the team out of Barleylands deliver on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis and have done over the last 7 years. And kind of what I wanted to finish on, and one of the things that I kind of want, and I try to make clear to young people when I do meet them in different settings, educational settings and everywhere else, is that the biggest difference a lot of the time with what we do compared to what I say traditional construction, we're here for a long time. We're not here for a short time, we're here for a long time. So our contracts tend to be between 5 and, you can see from this example, 5 and 15 years in length. When you see something new being built, that something new being built might take a year, 18 months to 2 years to be started, or from start to finish, and then that organisation disappears off and does something somewhere else. The difference with the type of roles that we have and the type of contracts that we have in property services is that our contracts are really quite long in length. So if you started on the contract in June 2016 and you wanted to stay, which a lot of our people do, you've got a guaranteed 15 years of work with Morgan Sindall Property Services on the contract of Basildon Council. So that's one of the big things around job security, and one of the big things in construction is people should be aware that they will have to travel to a certain degree to work in that, to work in construction. You're not always going to be working on your doorstep. But the beauty with the contracts that we have is that they are quite long contracts, which means that the job security is there for that period of time. So hopefully, touch wood, that's given you a bit of an insight into who we are and the contract and the main part of the contract. And I just want to touch upon a couple of last little bits around what I do, because selfishly, I want to tell you about what social value is all about. So what we do alongside the main repairs and maintenance contract is around supporting communities. And as I said before, we're here for a long time. We're not here for a couple of years or 18 months. So it's not dropping in or dipping in and dipping out. We're here for, potentially up to 15 years on this contract. And what we try to do with our social value projects is support local communities, support local initiatives, offer jobs to local people, apprenticeships and training, work experience, to give them a feel for what we do, but also to leave behind some real sort of legacies as well. And BazWorks, I think, Matt, you'll probably agree, and Charlie the same, BazWorks will be that legacy. So BazWorks started right at the beginning of the contract and is still running now to this day, and has got a great team of people that run it. But what we try to do and what we commit to are a range of different things. And Gene, who's on the call, you've had first-hand experience of these when I've done some stuff to you previously when I worked on the contract before. And just to give you a bit of an idea of what that means, what we try to do with the activities that we do from a social value standpoint is we work with an organisation called HACT, the Housing Association Charitable Trust, and they have a platform where we do our reporting, which is known as the HACT calculator, and all of the different activities that we do and the different things that we do have a well-being valuation attached to the different works that we do. So whether that be taking a local unemployed person from being unemployed into full-time employment or onto an apprenticeship, or maybe even offering them some work experience to give them that little bit more confidence. Everything, or most of the things that we do, have a value associated. And for the year of 20, where are we now? 22, 23. For the year 21, so 2021 to 2022, across our contracts, we managed to our social well-being, our HACT calculation for that year across our contracts was over £3.5 million in social return. So what that means, that doesn't mean we've got £3.5 million in real pound notes. What that does mean is that for every pound that we spend, it has a return of investment of £25 in social value for the people and the communities in which we operate. So Basildon, Southend, Westminster, Hammersmith and Fulham, all of those different areas. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide there are a number of the things that we do and the things that we offer as part of our social value program, but it's not all of them. So I'm hoping that through this experience and hopefully through the teacher days as well, where some of you are going to come out and see us and spend some time with us actually, with our teams at Barleylands and hopefully out with some of our operatives, we'll be able to engage with you and then come in and do some real sort of committed and focused stuff with some of your pupils as well. I'm going to stop there because we've been at you for an hour, and I'm going to see if there's any questions. If anyone's got any questions they want to ask at this stage. I've got all the polls coming up. I'm going to get all the answers right. There we go. But yeah, so has anyone got any questions at this point that they would like to ask myself, Matt, Charlie? Anyone got any questions?
I've got one.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, if any of our students wanted to find out more about opportunities for them when they leave school at 16,
yep,
should they go via your website? Is that the best route?
All of our opportunities will be posted on our website, Jean. Yeah, so all of our apprenticeships and all of the different job roles that we've got available, not just on the Basildon contract or the South Essex Homes contract, but all of our contracts will be posted there. What I would say is if you've got somebody that is particularly interested in coming to work for us or in our industry, get them to reach out directly. I'm somebody that thinks that I prefer somebody, if you're really interested in potentially coming to work for us, then contact us directly. By all means, apply through our platforms and our websites and everything else, but don't be afraid to approach us.
So just send a letter introducing themselves and saying what their interests are, and do you have anything that? Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And we've had a couple of them recently.
Yeah, we've got a generic email address of basildon.repairs@morgansindall.com. If they just pop us an email, what that does is the guys that sit behind Charlie's left and right shoulder, pop that to me and Charlie, and we'll do responses to them. We'll talk to them over the phone. I want to encourage people into this industry. It is almost a dying industry, but it's not going to get taken over by computers. When I was at school many, many years ago, it was like you go and be a plumber if you're thick and work in a bank if you're clever. And that was the two career paths you were sent down.
Yeah.
Actually, electricians earn an absolute fortune. Plumbers earn an absolute fortune. And, you know, if you wanted to emigrate to Australia or New Zealand at the moment, if you've got a gas certificate or electrician certificate, they'll pay you £60,000 and moving costs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an industry that's not going to be taken over by computers because it can't.
Can you give me that email address again?
Yeah, it's basildon.repairs at Morgan. I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the chat at morgansindall.com.
Thanks.
Or is Luke, are you doing that? Because you're typing.
Now, mate.
I can see you are typing.
basildon.repairs@morgansindall.com.
Yeah. So get them to pop anything into that. We'll give them a call. We'll have a chat with them. Luke will have a chat with them. You know, we'll come and see people. We're happy to do that. We've done careers evenings before where we've talked to people. But everyone seems to think it's just, oh, you're going to be going to become a plumber or a carpenter. It's not that. I have no trade. I have no trade background. I have no trade. I run the trades.
Right.
Yeah. It's not, I don't need to know how to cut a piece of wood. I've got plenty of experts to do that for me.
In fairness, most of our students actually do want to go into the trades. So
and the trade
yeah,
is what people should go into, because the trades are going to be the industry in the future that doesn't
absolutely.
die. Because
Fantastic.
everyone's always going to need something fixed, and it's for all ages, all sexes, everything. You know, we had gas engineers. We've got a handy person, and I'm saying person because she's female. Just recently had a baby, came back again, loves the job. You know, we want more females in the industry as well at the trade level.
That's ours.
We've got, you know, we go out and do gas services, and we've got elderly people that love having a female gas engineer go in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, we've got Andy Harper-Rowe coming to speak to our students next month, just about his journey in the industry. So hopefully that'll engage a few.
I'm sorry.
No, go on, Trevor. You're right.
I just you know, we work in myself and Dave from Treetops. It's an SEN school, as you know. I just want to know kind of what, you know, do you have stuff in place to accommodate those kind of students that maybe are a little more vulnerable or a little less, you know, aware of the, you know, the wider world as it is? Because a lot of our students are kind of that kind of student, you know. They may not be academically, you know, able to do some stuff, but a lot of them are very hands-on, very practical types. And so I was just wondering what provision there might be for, let's say, for some of our students might want to look into doing some work experience or just having an experience of the kind of work you do.
We adapt to everything. I mean, my son's SEN, so, you know, don't get me wrong, there's no way that I'm stopping him from having a career, whatever he wants to do. We protect them. Obviously, it depends on. We need to know what they, you know, what their circumstances are and what they've got, because we don't want to put them in a property where
of course,
it can be vulnerable. But we can have them in the office. We can have them in certain properties. You know, unfortunately, not all of our tenants are very nice.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so they may kick off, which may trigger something, and we're protective of that. Obviously, the people that we put them out with will be fully aware of what their situation is, and they'd need to be comfortable with that. But we wouldn't stop anybody, and I truly mean that, anybody from coming into this industry.
We've got, just to touch on that, sorry, we've got members of staff in the office who have got SEN, you know, so and we've had people in on work experience before who have got you know, educationally challenged, however you want to put it. We've had people on the team in those situations in the past as well, and they've actually been a bit of an asset to the team, you know.
Well, we often find that. I mean, our students, if nothing, if they get into something, they really get into something. You know, they can be really enthusiastic. Yeah.
Our data analyst he's the best data analyst I've got.
Yeah. Definitely think like figures and numbers and charts and graphs, that kind of thing. Yeah.
The thing is, I think, Trevor, with things like that, I think if you know, if it was potentially an experience, an opportunity to, you know, with those skills and stuff that some of our operatives have got, we could certainly look at how we could come and set something up with you at the school for some of those pupils to
Yeah.
give them that flavour of, to give them an insight, whether it be a little sort of, a carpentry or a plumbing workshop or whatever it might be. I'm sure, we can work something out to be able to come out and support them in the environment where you have them, to give them that exposure if they're not at that level or not confident enough to then come forward and do it straight away. But it will give them a little bit of exposure. So certain things like that, we can certainly look at that kind of thing, with your students moving forward and how we can potentially support them and have sort of, a little bit of a DIY day, if you like.
Sure, that sounds good. Sounds like a
Yeah.
great thing to do. Yeah. And how would we
I'm putting
get
my hands up that I want to come to that as well.
So do I. So because
I think we'll all be down there.
people get confused and think that I work in. Everyone says whenever I meet them for the first time, "Oh, what trade are you?" I'd be lucky if I could hang a shelf. So I wouldn't mind going along. But what I'll do, Trevor, is I'll pop my email address in the chat. So drop me a quick email, and we can pick that up certainly. Dave,
Yeah.
I could see that you had your hand up, but it's now gone down. Have I answered your question?
No, can you hear me? Is that all right? Is Mike
Yes, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as the same thing as what Trevor was saying, realistically. I mean, we have a lot of kids that are on the spectrum as well. So, I often say, if you want a job done properly from start to finish, a little bit of autism tends to work. If you want it done and you want it done properly, like I said, it does work well. We do like vocational studies where we do hair and beauty, we do construction skills and stuff like that. But what we're missing as a school is, like what Trevor was saying earlier, is we're missing the exposure. So employment is what we're missing. Because before, I've worked on site when I was young, and it is a brutal place to work. Like, it is brutal. It used to be brutal when I was there. So I don't know whether that maybe not so much too much from it. We need to be able to expose them to that world, but not too much, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we work in Basden's corporate buildings, so it
Yeah.
might be a community centre, it might be a leisure centre, it might be just a hall, village hall.
Yeah.
We can tailor things around working in those places where they're not open to public, so they're just with our guys and it's quiet with a.
Even with they'd be fine with the public, but like I said, working on site with tradesmen was quite raw when I was young.
Yeah, you probably worked on a proper site though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like that's the bit that we're missing. We're missing our kids having that exposure to be able to go out and to do some stuff. I think they would be fine to go out to do renovations and repairs and stuff like that on houses. And if that's something that we could work out and we could get running, I would bite your arm off for that.
Yeah, like I say,
because that's just the kind of thing. Sorry to interrupt, but that's just exactly the kind of thing that they're actually pushing us to provide now for our young people. There is a gap. There's a drop-off point in between employment and education that we're trying to sort of fill that space. And hopefully, the kind of things you're all saying sounds ideal to the kind of stuff we're looking for. Getting them, as Dave says, giving them that exposure, showing them what it's actually like in the real world.
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah,
and like we said earlier, some of the kids with the SEN, like, they will start a job and they will run it from start to finish, and it will have to be perfect. So it's a good thing.
Maybe they can teach my engineers some things.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything then. But yeah, no, like Trevor, Dave, reach out. My email should be in the chat there.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to get in touch, and we'll definitely look at how we can make something work, because it is important that we do support people off the back of this, and that's the whole point of doing this, is to kind of make these contacts, and hopefully you can come along to one of the taster day that we're having, and you can kind of then feed that back to your pupils to bring it to life even more, and then we can move from there. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we've got any more questions from anybody. If not, I think we're good there, Hyla.
So there's none in the chat. So any further questions from anyone before we go? No, I think we're good then. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate all three of your time really. So Luke, Matthew, Charlie, really appreciate your time and your insights that you've given. It just brings it to life. You can look on our website, and I've put some links to your website on the apprenticeships, but it's not the same unless you speak to someone, is it, that's doing it? So
Yeah.
Really appreciate your time and energy and effort that you've put into it, and I'm now very excited about your one-day workplace visit. I'm coming to that one as well now. I've decided and seeing if I can get involved too. So I thank you for everyone else as well for your questions, comments, for your responses to the polls and everything else. As I mentioned, the recording will go on our YouTube channel, so I'll send you the link to that as well, just in case you want to look it back. Don't forget that there are more webinars, and the workplace visits are continuously being added, actually almost on a weekly basis at the moment, which is the engagement from employers like Morgan and Property Services has been amazing. So really happy with that. So they're all on our website and on our Eventbrite channel, so do keep an eye on those. You will also get a very short evaluation form, because this forms part of a bigger national research project that's happening. So you'll get, it is only short. I've been told it's only about 5 minutes, because I realised that if we sent you one that was going to take you any longer, it's not going to happen. So it's only a very quick evaluation form that will come out to you guys. But if you have any questions, comments, thoughts that come up after, anything that you want us to pass across to Luke or the team, or indeed for the Careers Hub, then as you know, you can always get in touch with us, and we can pass the comments on. So thank you again, Luke, Matthew, Charlie. Thank you for your time. Really appreciated. And thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks,
All right,
Hyla. Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.